All right, everybody. It is 6:30. It is Thursday. It is October 26th. I hope everyone's doing all right. Crazy world we have out there. Another shooting in Maine now. We're getting crazy. Anyway, my name is Scott Ruther. I am the Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's 6:30 Club, where I try and give you guys ways to approach today actively if you trade for a living, ways to try and strategically look at a setup and then execute with confidence so you can make some cash flow, as well as I talk about a little bit of my experiences because I am 51 years old. I've been in the market since 1997, and through that I've developed lots of different approaches to the tape to prepare for the long term, the intermediate term, and also hopefully to send my kids to school where they don't have to take out debt, so they're not asking for forgiveness of debt. I think I came home twice a month from SUNY Albany as president of my fraternity to do bar mitzvahs, and MC them to pay for school with no debt. And I just feel like, what are we doing here in this world? Anyway, let's get to what's going on here. Yesterday, you had a very weak day. If you remember, we talked about, is this the start of a move or just an oversold bounce with a bear flag for lower prices? Well, you look here at the chart of the S&P cash. We had actually a pretty good trading week. I can't complain about the trading week. Why? Because we talked about setups and execution. And if you remember, on this day, which was Monday, we opened up below 42.16. We opened up below this low, and we had a nice reversal candle that happened in the first 15, 20 minutes. You were able to buy some key names that had oversold bounces, and then you had a little bit of an inside day. And then yesterday, they didn't, just give you a misdirectional, side swipe. You had 42.19, to get short. Some people got short or get out of some risk. Little by little, tech started to play some downside catch-up, considering that more and more names have lost special status and have gone from kind of special to fine to bent to broken. So, not much to hang your hat on, except for we're heading into the fourth quarter where everybody that called for a first half crash started calling for a fourth quarter rally, which kind of put me on my toes anyway. So with that being said, we are down about 20 handles, which I think is better. You want to have continuity. When we broke 43.37 to the downside and this pocket pivot gave way, what you don't want is misdirection, back and forth violence. You want continuity. So you did have, 3 down days into a fourth. So if you got out of longs here or got short, you got paid to be short. And then if you were looking for a bounce, there was a way to do it into an oversold scenario. So now downside follow through to here it will be interesting. So before I get to the SPYs, which I'll show you. So anyway, this is 41.66. This is a very big spot right here. Some people are like, hey, Red Dog, when are you going to put your next tier, your wife's blood in the street account to work? Because that's how you gauge your swing account if you don't have one, or you put your risk. If you remember, last time I put it to work, this was the first tier right here, and the oscillator was minus 70, and you had a really nice move, which you could have made. And then I put it to work like right around here when the oscillator was minus 55, and I told you guys, you could reduce it. I am not trading her blood in the street account, which is an account I can't contribute money to. I'm accumulating, and then at some point when it makes a new all-time high, which I think it will, not this year, could be next year, the year after, then I put it back into a fixed rider and let it go. And if you look here on the weekly chart, you can see there were a few times, in the past multiple years where it worked. Here she was in cash. I put 2 tiers to work. This was the taper tantrum in 2018, which was basically what we're in the middle of, taper tantrum. They're raising rates to normalize the economy. You can't give out free money forever, and you can't have gas at $5 and housings with triple bid, quadruple bids, whatever. Anyway, and then this was the pandemic where I think I put 3 tiers to work, and then I think I put 2 tiers here, got the cash, 2 tiers here, got the cash, 1 tier here, got the cash, and now I've kind of I think I've put 2 tiers in, which at this time I think I want to try and get 4 tiers in. I've never been able to get 4 tiers in. We never got low enough. So at this point, where would I put my next tier? I am not putting it in around here. If anything, this would be the next spot. If we don't get to this spot, I don't want another tier. If we do get to this spot, relatively soon, okay, that's probably the next spot. I think the best scenario would be is we continue to sell off into next week, really get the oscillator high. The Fed meets next Wednesday. If we're perhaps down, and the oscillator's high and sentiment's crazy, maybe, he does pay attention to the market, he'll really indicate that they're done. And then from that spot, maybe we get a better bounce and better trading. So this would be, write this down, 4,069. This would be tier 3 of 4. And then this is ginormous, which I don't see us getting to unless that's like December. By that point, people are going to be jumping out of their windows. Anyway, what could you have seen? We talked about reducing risk, getting out, getting short, right around when this broke from a trading level. Then you had a bear flag break, and now, again, this is a small active level around 41.66. And then this would be a spot that I would like to put the third tier in. It all depends because she can only buy on the close anyway. So, you go to the SPYs, which have been, when volatility hits, I like to trade things that are liquid. The SPYs, the Qs, especially when we're making like new weekly or monthly lows. I don't like to be in 10 things. I usually focus on some key names and the indices that you could trade around. And I think that's a way to kind of stay safer. So anyway, if you remember yesterday, we were talking about this bear flag. I think I drew this while you guys were watching. And I said, if we don't hold, 421-ish, then, this could just be a 2-day bounce, bear continuation pattern. And all of a sudden, boom, look at this down bar. This bar said, hey, if you played a bounce, be careful. And now if you went out short, you're getting paid. Congratulations to you. This is 417. Here are some of the levels that I'm looking at. If you look right here, this is 412.42. If we were to see 412 this morning, we were as low as 414.75. This is where I would probably put some bids in if it happened fast, kind of like what I did on Monday. I had some bids into the 418 area, and then when we reclaimed 420. So I would consider, today, if this happened fast, 412.42, and then this is really big. This is 408, and there's a gap here to 407, and here's 403, and then here's 398. So these are all your levels. I'm not saying we're going to hit all of them. I'm just saying that's how you prepare. You prepare for the day, multiple plans, execute with confidence, net money, move forward. Remember that mantra? I think most people have made money every single day this week, even with this volatility. That's what you're supposed to do as a trader. Anyway, so with that said, we're at 415.36, or it doesn't make it to 412. Maybe it comes into 414. Then you see some key names start to act better, and you buy versus a 5 or 15-minute low, and then you see how it evolves. And then if it breaks out, you get out of the way and you wait for the levels. The Qs, okay, I talked about, will they play downside catch-up and then lead the SPYs to their next washout? And that's what started. The Qs, we talked about this head and shoulders top pattern that everybody was pointing to. Bottom line is, this is the pocket pivot that broke to the downside. Then if you remember, 351 got reclaimed on Monday. So did 354. This was a great trade. Okay, after 1, 2, 3, 4 down days, you had a 2-day move. And then yesterday, you had your chance to get out of the way. Google was down. Semis were down. Like, there's just nothing that looked good. So the Qs rolled over. Okay, hit 349, and now this is the 200 EMA. So the Qs right now are not quite there. So if the Qs were to see 345-ish in the first 5, 15, 30 minutes, that would be a spot where you probably want to cover your shorts and think about trying to buy versus a level to see. And not saying it's going to hold, because chances are, if we're going to continue for multiple days, which I don't see why we would just reverse today and all of a sudden that be the low of the next few weeks and months moving forward. But we'll then you have this 336, which is down here. So 349.75. Do we hold 345 and reclaim 349 and get a decent cash flow trade? That would be a nice trade. I think a lot of people would make a lot of money, including me. Do we stay below here, keep the pressure on, bounce a little bit off there, and then continue lower? We'll see. Then you have to be careful. Do we not get to 345 and all of a sudden, 346.12 is the morning low, pre-market low, and then we just come off of there? You don't know. The market can do whatever it wants. You have to have all these different thoughts going through your head. That's why I keep my process strong. That's why I was in my sauna doing hundreds of reps this morning thinking about all the different scenarios, and I'm very risk down. I'm coming in today like, all right, boys and girls and he, she's and ferries and whoever you are, we're getting ready to roll here. You know, I kind of probably should be short. There are momentum guys that are short that are walking in saying, hey, I'm getting paid. I don't care if we go up or down. We closed on our lows. We broke a level. Boom. So you're either out of the way or you're short. You know, if you're trading actively for a living, you're not sitting in portfolio approach. The only time you're in portfolio approach was when the S&P and the Qs are above the 821 day. I've written so many freaking ebooks about it, this and that hasn't been the case. Especially right here, 367. You know, on that attempt. So anyway, you know, we've been getting earnings come out. You know, and earnings season, you know, is pretty much your report card, and it's kind of underwhelming. Especially since some of these things have been so elevated with money hiding, and that's why, again, the Qs are getting beat up. You know, the small caps have already been beat up. The regionals are a don't touch, the banks, because who knows which one's going to go to a zero soon. You know, you'll probably start hearing stuff about that. And the regular banks are not doing anything. And then energy, you know, when everyone started to rant and rave on how awesome it is again, failed at the 2-year break range. So, and then ARC, I don't even want to talk about that. So we've been in some treacherous tape for a while where you haven't been able to sit in risk and put buying power to work, you know, only test areas and try and stay alive and stay sane. You know, and then obviously you have to think about things longer term as well. But that's not what you get paid for a living. That's just how you prepare for life, which is what we're doing here. So what now? Look at Google. You know, Google's got two different gaps here. So Google was basically near the all-time high, gap down, same thing as Tesla did, and stayed for sale all day, put a low in at 125.07. So here's your gap now, pro gap that usually leads, if it doesn't get filled within a week or so, it continues to the downside. And Google's down another 2 this morning. Okay, so Google is at 123.32. Here's a 200 EMA, right around 121-ish. Ish is, you know, means like an area. So at 121-ish, if you want to try and give it a chance, give it a chance. If you're short overnight because it was so weak, which it closed on the lows, that's not a buy. That's a momentum move to the downside. You're getting paid. And now it's a 123.40, so I'd write down 121-ish. Okay, and then we see what happens. Or just wait for a 5-15-minute low and figure it out. Don't be in a rush. You know. Then you have what's it called? Tesla, which gave you a nice trade post earnings. Okay, this did the same thing. Underwhelming earnings, missed on every metric, wasn't quite near the highs like Google was, so it didn't get as beat up. So you had this gap down, and then it continued to the downside. Remember on Monday it gave us a really nice trade when it reclaimed 210, went to 222, and then yesterday broke below 214. So if you just to get people out saying, hey, this is your oversold bounce, you know, or get people short. And now Tesla is trading here at down 5 at 206.88. So where is that? That's below this, and that's above here. So now this doesn't matter as much, okay, because that point of reference is gone. So really the question is, will it, let's get this 195 here, will it hold above 202? Because right now you have the SPYs making a new low for the week and the month. You have the Qs making a new low this morning for the week and the month. And here you are with Tesla at 207. Yesterday I made a lot of money buying Tesla in the hole. It went green, but you know what I didn't do? I didn't sit in it. I didn't try and trade it 100 times thereafter. It was a great move from down $2 to up $1.50. It showed some relative strength, and boom, that's how you make your money. Remember, good setup, execute with confidence, net money, next trade. And if you're happy with what you made, you don't need to do more. You know, and Tesla gave you that. So if you go here, like this was Tesla yesterday. You know, in the morning, it gave you a really nice trade. Let's see if you can even see it. You know, we can't even, well, it came all the way up, and then it was done here at 217. So 217, you're out of the way, and then it just grinded all day. But anyway, let's get this off. So I'll look at it. The question is, sometimes you get this oversold bounce, and that's all it is, and then it becomes a no trade. You know, so like Nvidia, people like Red Dog, are you going to go to Nvidia like you did on Monday? On Monday, we all made really good money because Nvidia reclaimed this area, which was this 410 area. So with that being said, this is Nvidia. Here's yesterday's low. So if you remember on Friday, Monday, I'm sorry, it went below 410.78, came back above it, and you were risking very small for this big move, and then obviously got rejected into moving averages, couldn't hold this prior low. So if you were playing for more, you got stopped out, and some of you guys got short. Now there's talk by Meta that they're spending less on AI chips, and here you are. So you don't want to go back to the well if, when the well runs dry, just in case, because if we are going to trade lower from here into next week, and we're going to test lower areas, I'm not saying we will. If we don't hold the 200-day in the Qs, chances are NVIDIA is not going to hold. The earnings aren't coming out for this stock, for another 2 weeks, so it could do whatever it wants. And chances are, if this doesn't hold this 403 or 409, this head and shoulders top, could give you, look at this void here. There's a huge void that could take you right to last quarter's pro gap. So you want to be careful. I will look at it, but I'm not going to just anticipate. I kind of anticipated. I saw the little relative strength Monday today. I'm going to be a little bit more careful. And then AMD cooked. AMD, boom. Tried to have a descending channel here, lagged. I remember on Monday, what's it called? AMD could not rally with SMCI and NVIDIA right in here, and then boom, broke to the downside, and now I guess we'll see what it does here. So here, wow, look at that. It's probably well below this now. So AMD usually shows you what it's going to do, and it's been relatively weak. So when you have a bounce in the market for 2 days and your stock can't bounce and it's not oversold, that's telling you it's probably going lower. As far as Microsoft, okay, let's look at Microsoft. So Microsoft had a big gap up after earnings, kind of like what Netflix did. You now have this low right here. Okay, what is the low from earnings? This is 337.62. So you put 337.62, right? So that is your gap pivot, and we'll see if it could hold there. But chances are, if we're going to bounce today and go green, chances are Microsoft is going to go from red to green. And let's see what Microsoft's doing this morning. I didn't even look yet. Microsoft is down 225. It's right at 338. So this could be something to really watch, which I'm going to watch. Whereas again, if the market's going down, and the forces will know for the next few days and few weeks, and there is no, chances are this gap's going to get filled and people aren't going to be able to hide anywhere. If we're going to hang around here, chances are this could be a good trade today, where 338.32 could do a few things. It can get below 337.62, come in the gap, go to 337, come back above it and hold it, and you could have a new point of reference. Or it could hold above it, futures come in, SPYs go lower, Qs go lower, it doesn't go in, and you could buy versus that, and it goes red to green. So Microsoft will be important. If all of a sudden Microsoft just goes into the gap, it is what it is. That means they're just selling everything. I did get out of my Netflix yesterday just because I was pretty tight. It did do somewhat of a red dog reversal where it pushed above 416, came back below. I left mid-afternoon. I had to do a few things. I put a stop at the low of the day, so I got stopped out. But I made really good money in Netflix the last 4 days. So I'm like, you know what? I don't need to sit in a swing trade and show, hey, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take my trade and run. It was a good setup. Why was it a good setup? Here was your post-earnings gap. Held twice higher. I had my stop at 397, never got stopped out. So 397, then we were able to buy through 411. And then yesterday, I even sold strength, sold more, and then I'm like, okay, I don't need that risk. So for today, maybe I'll look at it. Today, today right now, it's at 406.90, down 4. Okay, so here is this low is what? 408. So this 407, 408 is an area. I'll let it maybe put a 15-minute low, and if I see a signal, meaning markets go lower, it doesn't go down, maybe I'll play it because I don't own it here, so I have the opportunity to buy it lower. And if you still had one tier left, which is cool, obviously not 3 tiers. The only time you could have had 3 tiers is trading it through this area and then selling some resistance. That's how you use your tier system. So it'll be interesting. All in all, though, this type of situation is kind of similar to Microsoft and the gap up, but we'll see if a day after the pro earnings gap, if it gets defended or not. And then everything else is just really, really damn broken. Look at the IWM making a new move low. Look at this weekly chart here on the IWMs. Wow. Okay. 2 years of nothing. and this, remember when everyone was like getting all excited, everyone in June was like, oh, the equal weight, PS, boom. The chart broke around 190, broke right here at 182, and now your last point of reference here is like 163-ish. Where's that low? 162.50. So this is 162.50, not even 163. So I like to be kind of perfect, even though in trading you don't have to be perfect. You just need to be making progress, which makes happen. So anyway, that's been dead money, if not more than dead money, for almost 3 years now. So if everybody on TV, oh, the S&P's up 8%, the Nasdaq's up 30, he can't be upset. Hasn't been that easy, you know. And most people on TV that talk about how easy it is, they're not trading. They're just talking and they're reporting. They're not in the thick of it. They're not having to keep sane. They're not having to keep their process strong. They're not working on their multiple plans. They're just reading from a teleprompter, most of them, and then some of the guests even. So anyway, you got to know what you can handle and why you can handle it. Now, as far as today, once again, okay, I would say go back to the SPYs. This is actually the weekly look at the SPYs. You do have this level here is 416-ish. Then you have 407, 398, 388. SPYs, what do we say the SPYs are? 416, 415-ish. So it's kind of right there-ish. On the daily, it looks more like, to me, a more compelling area is kind of closer to this 412. So we'll see. Well, and you know, I just got to say, hey, it's, you know, the conditions are things you can't control, but your decisions based on the conditions is something you can control. And how do you do that? You do that by thinking clearly. You know, the world right now is a crazy place. If you just were sleeping in a tunnel, you know, for some reason you woke up, you're like, holy cow, there's friggin' 2 crazy wars going on with Russia that invaded Ukraine. Then you have the terrorist attacks that happened on Israel. Oh my goodness, most Jewish people killed since the Holocaust. Then you look that we just got a Speaker of the House. We're gaining like $1 trillion a month in debt. Anyway, these are all things you kind of can't control. You could stand up and try and help and send money, you know, do a few things to help along the way. But the really only thing you can do is be a good person for your community, your family, figure out how you could keep your job, make money, execute, do little things to make yourself happy, sweat it out. I think sweating it out helps. I sweat it out all the time. That's what, you know, everyone has their own different inner strength and how they create their inner strength. So figure out what that is for you. And, you know, every day you wake up, you know, hopefully, you know, they say, how is success measured? If you wake up and you're happy and you're excited for the day, you're successful. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire, millionaire, or, you know, you're just getting by paying your bills. You know, some people, you know, define success different ways. If you wake up every day and you're pissed and you're unhappy and you hate your life, then you're probably doing something wrong and you got to make a change. So with that said, it is Thursday. We'll figure it out. Multiple plans. And I appreciate you for tuning in. And tomorrow I'll probably definitely have another 6:30 club. It just might not be at 6:30. And I'll check in. I'll put some charts. Oh, Meta. People are like, what about Meta? Okay, well, Meta is you know, down 10. Another one of the magnificent 7 that are in the penalty box. You know, every so often all these stocks are going in the penalty box. And when you have no leaders and you have no special stocks, markets head lower. And that's it. And then tougher times lead to better times. And at some point, you know, the bull market does win over time, but you have to approach it with a plan and know your time frame. Okay, and right now, technically, we've been broken. We're at least bent and breaking for multiple weeks, and most of this year. We had like one active sequence in the second quarter that was really tradable where you could have risk on. Ever since then, when the S&P and the Qs are below the 820 one day, I don't care what people say on TV. Fourth quarter rallies coming, fourth quarter rallies. Okay, where? Maybe it's coming from 4,060 back to 4,300. But if you were saying from 4,300 down, you know, everyone's saying a fourth quarter rally and you're a trader, chances are, you know, you're going to get stopped out by your risk manager because you had too much things on and you were listening to too many people, not trusting your technicals and not really educating yourself enough on how to approach the market when, you know, the market's in a certain stance. And right now, defense wins championships, not offense. Offense could win some games. Defense keeps you in the game, in the season, to make the playoffs and make the championship, whatever that is, and whatever that is to you. All right, guys, good luck today.